Are you a goal setter? Our family is. In fact, myself personally, I've always been a huge setter of goals. And this is so important that you do this because it literally will make things happen in your life. In fact, there's been so many things I've done in my life. In fact, a lot of people on the channel have told me that I can't, you're making things up. You were never all these things. I mean, I was a nuclear specialist in the military. I'm a doctor. I'm a martial arts instructor. And honestly, that's barely scratching the surface. And why is that? Because I'm a goal setter. I mean, that, and I'm one of those jack of all trades. I'm never satisfied. I get bored easy and have to learn something new, and off I go. That's part of it too. But I'm a goal setter. I always set goals, and it's very important you set goals, and not only that, but write them down as well. People who write down their goals are 20% more successful in accomplishing them than those who didn't. This is something we do as a family and something we very much instill into every one of our children and make this something as a practical lesson that they do every single time. In fact, it's usually about this time of year we sit down and look at our long-term goals. I mean, we always set goals, by the way. What do we want to have done this month? I mean, usually what do we want to have done this week too? But what do we have done this month, 6 months? What do we want to have in a year, a couple years, and then 5 years? That's how we set our goals out. And we love going back, by the way. I always keep all these recorded so we can go back and say, oh, wow, look, we accomplished that one and this one and this one. And it gives you a very good sense of accomplishment for the fact that you got things done because you set your mind toward it. Now, this is not some kind of like magic land where as soon as you write it down, oh, I did it, now the goals are going to happen. That's not what I'm talking about at all. You must have very clear, actionable steps that you must take to accomplish the goals. It's not simply just setting the goals, but you have to make very clear, defined steps in that direction as well. Those who set actionable tasks for their goals and initiate weekly progress reporting to their supportive peers tend to achieve 40% more than those who did not. And this makes perfect sense. Not only having peers, maybe a spouse, maybe you have some really good friends you work in goals with. It works so well when you have other people on board and helping each other out with your goals. But having very actionable steps toward that goal, you need to, what do they say? The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. And that blows my mind how many times I've reached a goal and it's like, wow, look at that long goal, like getting my doctorate. I've had college alone, I've had 10 years of college. And I remember the first day of college and I was like, I worked toward it. And then one day I graduated, I was like, I did it. And it's weird because you set those goals and set those steps and next thing you know, you have the goal accomplished. It's an amazing thing. Now, again, this isn't magical land. You can't simply set every single goal. My goal is to be the richest person on the planet and, be richer than Elon Musk. I mean, maybe that is a goal and maybe that is within reach. But being within reach is the important part because you have to set reasonable goals. But I'm not saying simply set goals like today, I want to eat extra banana. I mean, you can do that if you want to, get some extra potassium, that's good. But you do need to challenge yourself. This is something that's very important too. If you simply just set menial goals where there's no challenges involved, you're probably not going to even worry about those goals, but always trying to challenge yourself and push yourself. We always say in martial arts that you will never grow unless you're challenged, because when you try certain moves, you're like, I can't do this move. That's great. That means there's a challenge there and it's going to help you rise to the occasion. So you have to have challenges, set goals that's going to take you to that very next level. In 90% of studies, challenging and specific goals resulted in better performance than easy goals, no goals, or, those just do your best goals. No, we have none of those do your best type goals. I mean, honestly, we tell our kids in certain areas, do your best, obviously, but those aren't goals. Those are simply that's called living your life, But we don't have medals for participation as they do. No, we literally have very specific goals that are very challenging. But here's the thing, the higher the challenge, which I'm not saying don't set your heights really high for challenging. It's got to be possible, by the way, but set your challenges really high, but be expected to fail. Failing is all part of this. And I think in today's culture, one of the things too is they don't want people to fail. So let's not set goals in the first place. No, failing is a huge part of this. It's part of life. It helps you grow and help you understand it and helps you deal with society. When I see with a lot of the younger generation is every time they have a goal that collapses in front of them and their goal is, making a bowl of cereal with milk on it and they don't do it right and they collapse and they fall on the floor crying in their onesies and they have such a hard time with this. That's because you have to learn to fail too. Failing is a big part of this. Remember, Colonel Sanders went to over 1,000 restaurants to pitch his chicken recipe before one finally picked it up. Did you know that? It's actually not true. It's a complete wives' tale that people made up. But it's a great lesson, by the way, that he went out and tried to get this recipe. I heard it was his grandma's recipe, but no, he actually made it himself. And ultimately what happened was he made this recipe dinner for a friend of his who already owned a restaurant, fell in love with it, and they became business partners, and the rest is chicken history. Now, that's not true as far as his thing. But the truth with Thomas Edison is he actually had 2,774 attempts to make the light bulb before he finally made one that worked. I mean, so obviously he had 2,773 times he failed. When asked about this, he responded, I have not failed 10,000 times. I've successfully found 10,000 ways that will not work. Don't get afraid of failure. Set lofty goals, challenging goals, challenge yourself and try to rise up to it and expect to fail. Failure is an amazing teacher and helps you learn. That way you don't do it the same way and you'll become even better. All right. As a martial arts instructor, we had a new student come in, oh gosh, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago. Great kid. And as he came through, everybody goes through this, by the way. He has a hard time getting his legs up to a certain level to kick, and his punches obviously need a lot of work. I mean, he's brand new. He's never done martial arts before. But out of anybody, had a very big self-esteem issue for the fact that he continuously said, I'm so sorry I can't do this. I'm so sorry I'm failing at this. I'm so sorry. I was like, listen, you're not failing. It's just something you're learning. It takes years of dedication to become black belt. And that's not even like the end result, by the way. You want to go way beyond the black belt. And a lot of people don't want to, but you should. You should make this a lifelong thing. But nevertheless, he always kept apologizing. And we were working on this one kick one day, and he kept trying to do it. And he wasn't doing it well, which is fine. You learn. But he goes, oh, I'm so sorry I'm a loser. I'm so sorry. And I don't tolerate that at all, by the way. There's never like down talk to yourself or other people, even in our family. We don't allow that. And I said, listen, you're not a loser. Do you know who, if you want to classify anybody being a loser? And he goes, who's that? And I said, let me ask you something. In this city, how many kids are out there your age? And he gave some arbitrary number. And I said, how many of those do you think would love to learn martial arts or become a black belt? And he goes, probably most of them. And I said, so isn't it interesting how you're here, you're in this school, you set this goal to be a black belt someday, you set this goal to learn these kicks, and they're not here, are they? And he's like, no. And I said, and yet you consider yourself the loser? Think about that. Who truly, if you want to classify anybody as a loser, I don't call anybody losers, by the way, but if you want to classify anybody as a loser, wouldn't it be those people out there who aren't taking this first step to come in to learn the martial arts? And you could see, it was awesome, the gears turning in his head, and he was like, oh, yeah. And now it's been months, and he's gone up a few belts, and his kicks and everything are much better. But the biggest thing is he doesn't have this self-doubt, this doubt talk that he had anymore. And he literally knows that he can accomplish his dream if he sets his mind to it and, of course, has the actionable task. But having those dreams and shooting for it is the key. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, from the hockey legend Wayne Gretzky. And that is what setting goals is all about. It is taking shots. Learn to take shots, and you will have failures. But you know what? Those people who don't set those goals, those people who don't take the shots in the first place, guaranteed are going to miss. And I mean, I don't know how old you are. I don't know where you're at as far as your stage in life goes. But this is a learning lesson. Hopefully, I don't care if you're a 1-year-old or a 100-year-old, we don't stop growing. Continuously grow your entire life. Push yourself, challenge yourself, and set goals. So let me ask you, what kind of goals are you going to set? But more importantly, are you going to do it now? Are you going to try to better yourself? Especially when we talk about the world the way it is, when we talk about prepping and preparedness. But it's not just that. This is an absolute life lesson, and I hope you glean from this and will now turn around to say, you know what? It's time to better myself in my life. Time to set those high challenges and start working toward them. My friends, go out there and set goals today.